Hello, Charlie, and I just added the refresh token features to all of the three providers, and there are some small difference among the different providers. Okay, so the first one we can check is the Facebook side, and for the Facebook, the, that is the most easiest. And for the Facebook the service, we just need to add the permission, extended permission. Facebook, there are no some more small change, and just to set the scope, add the scope. In the scope, we only have email before, but right now we just add the offline access scope to the request. So that will make the access token will never expire. So we can use the access token forever. Of course, if the user revoke the access of your application, and we then need to get the access token again, that is just the same workflow as we have right now. Okay, and but there are some small changes on the because as I said before, we have a function called get data with the code. Because the Facebook response and the authorization response will contain the code and the access token, right? And so because the access token will be useful forever, so we can, but the code is not. So at this point, we should use the user to call get user info directly with the access token. And so in the test, in the application side, in the client application, we shouldn't call the get data with code. We just need to call the get user info with the um, access token. But with access token, the response type is different. We need to change it to um, token. And that will return the token. And on the client, after we get the login and we get the token, we will uh, need to get call the get user info with the access token directly. Okay. So for the Windows Live, and as, as we talked about before, we just used the client ID without the client secret. But for this time, we add the refresh token. We need to the access the secret. You can check the WCF service and the Windows. So also we need to add a scope that is offline access. But the difference between the Facebook is the Facebook offline access will make the access token uh, for won't expire, but for the Windows Live, and we cannot do that. The access token still have some time expiration, but it return a refresh token. This is will be useful forever. So we can use the fresh token to get the new access token. So um, for Windows Live, in the login request, in the authorization request, we just add the scope offline access scope, and when the response will contain the refresh token. Sorry, the response will return the code, authorization code, and then we call the get access token with the code. And this time the response will contain access token and the refresh token. So on the client, we need to store this refresh token, and if there are some error happened in future with the access token to call the get user info with access. If the access token is already invalid, we can use the refresh token to call the get access token by refresh token to get the new access token. Okay, and then for the Google side, that is similar to the Windows Live. In the login URL, we just add the access type to offline, and then in the response, use the response code to call the get access token. The access token also contain the refresh token, but there is also some small difference between the Windows Live. For Windows Live, the refresh token will always be returned when we call the get access token. Call the token request to get the access token, and then it will respond with the refresh token. But for Google, it only return the refresh token at the first time when the user authorizes your application. So when this user run our application again, and our application called the get access token, the response was no refresh token contained, according to the Google's explanation. It said that they you can see that the first time a given user's browser is sent to this URL, they see a consent page. If they grant access, then the response includes an authorization code which will be redeemed for access token and a refresh token. The next time the user browser is sent to this URL, they do not see the content page. Okay. So at the first time, we need to for the Google side, we need to also similar to the Windows Live, we need to store the refresh token, and then if the access token is invalid, we can call the get access token by refresh token, similar to the same function as Windows Live authorize or Windows Live, and then it will return the new access token, and so that we can use the new access token to get the user info. Okay. So on your WP application, and I think there are some changes that is you need to store the refresh token at the first time called the get access token, because in our previous functions, the get access token just return the string that contains the access token, but right now we return an object called tokens that contains the access token and the refresh token. So if the refresh token is not empty, you should store the refresh token, and then at the next, if there are some error happened to call the get user info, you should try to use the refresh token to get the access token by calling the get access token by refresh token function, and then call the get user info again. Okay, so this workflow is the same as for the Google in the Windows Live, but for Facebook, we don't need we just add the we just need to add the offline access to the scope, and of course we shouldn't call the get data with code again. We just call the get user info with the access token directly, because the access token will never expiration. Okay, thank you.